Quick tutorial. We are going to cover some more advanced CSS stuff than we did in the last one. The last one we just did an internal style sheet. Now we're going to do an external CSS style sheet. And then the concept is the same. Instead, we're going to actually reference a outside file basically that's going to be a CSS template for all of our pages that we want to link to that. So it'll make a little more sense as we kind of go along. First thing we need to do, of course, is get a notepad document opened up. I'm going to get this notepad document open, and I'm going to go ahead and just right away call it index.html. And this is going to be my index document for it. And I'm going to go ahead and open up a second notepad document. And this notepad document I'm going to call global, so file save as, and I'm going to call it global CSS. And I'm going to go ahead and save it. So now I have a global CSS document and I have an index document. Alright, let's work with the index document first. Let's go ahead and put our HTML commands down. So the first thing we do is do HTML. We're going to end our HTML. We would put a head tag. We're going to end our head tag. We'd put a body tag. And we'll end our body tag. Alright, great. Now we got something to work with. So, in order for us to call an external style sheet from our HTML document that we have right here, what we'll need to do is we need to write a line of code that's going to link this document to that external document. It's real easy to do. You're just going to type in this command, link style rel, equals style sheet, end quotes, type equals text slash CSS. So we're telling it that it's a style sheet and it's going to be a text slash CSS style sheet. And the location, this should be kind of a command that's similar to HTML, is going to be global CSS. Okay. Now, this line is going to link it to our document. Now this right here, we could make it a full URL, so we could link to somebody else's, say, external CSS style sheet by typing in the full URL of the CSS sheets, wherever that may be. It allows us to just call the commands. If you knew, let's say your buddy had a style sheet he had made, and you know all of the div boxes and classes that were created under there, you could actually use his style sheet to do your HTML document. It really makes it nice for creating big websites because everything can look good, the same. You do all your design work one time, and rather than every time you do a HTML document. Okay, let's move on. In the body, I want to create my first div box. And so I'm going to create a div box, and I'm going to call it div. I need to put my div class equals, and I'm just going to call it box because we're making a box. And then I'm going to end that. Okay, so now I've got a div tag called box. Okay, and you'll see how this works in a second. And then I'm going to put, we have created a box with a border. And I'm going to do a break, and then I'm going to end my tag. And then the other thing I need to do is I want to end my div box. And I like to end it on a separate line. So I always like to end my div on a different line than the line where I declared it. Reason for that is you'll start nesting another box inside one. So I could essentially do another div box right here in this, and then I would have to have two div tag endings right there. But for this example, I'm just going to do the one. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save it. So now we have this box that we need to create, and we need to do that in CSS. So let's go ahead and go back to our global CSS template, and let's change some of the commands. First of all, let's do our div box. I'm going to give myself a little bit of space so I can put stuff above and below it, but I'm going to do div.box and that's saying, oh, that thing, that command in HTML that was called divbox, yeah, this is all the instructions for how that should look. And we're going to put our first bracket in, so just like in the previous example, the bracket is the way that we do this. And we're going to say position, and we're going to say fixed. Now, there are other positions that are available, and if you go online, you can find all of the different options for this, and it'll kind of give you more in-depth explanation. But for such a short video, we're not going to go into all of the different possible positions. Alright, width. So I'm setting the width property, and I'm going to say it's 220 pixels. And notice I'm closing them out with the semicolon every time I do it. You must do that. You miss a semicolon and you're going to have problems. Height, let's do 700 pixels. So the box is going to be 220 pixels wide, 700 pixels high. And I'm going to do a padding inside my box. Now this is going to bump the text inside my box 10 pixels from the edge, so it's not just right up against the edge, and it would look silly if it was right up against the edge. And I'm going to do a border of 5 pixels, and I want the border to be solid gray, and I was able to just write that out. You can also use the declaration with the pound key as well, but for me I just wrote solid gray. That was easy. Margin, I'm not going to have a margin in this one. I'm just going to call it 0 pixels, but I'm going to put it just in case later on I need to add a margin to make it look right. And then I'm going to do background color, or let's do an image. Background. Nah, let's just leave the background alone. Okay. Sorry, I'm making this up as I go along. Alright, we're going to leave it. I'll show you the background image commands and a few of those later on. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a save now. And let's go ahead and open our index file. And let's see what it's looking like thus far. We have created a box with a border. So there you go. We have a div box and a border. And this is really a cool way to adjust your sites and do all kinds of things with them, because now we can call this external style sheet for every single HTML document that we have in our website. And that means we can put different information in this box, but it'll always be formatted within the constructs of that div content. So it's a really, really good way to kind of organize the document and keep things in place. The next video in the segment we're going to take this exact document, so let's take off where we started here, and we're going to add some more commands, make a second box, and you'll start to see how all this comes together. So go ahead, go into mrcross.org, check out some more, go to your iPod, whatever you got to do. There's more videos to come.